Each year, the Children's Bureau, within the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, distributes congressionally approved funds for grant recipients to implement and evaluate innovative services in child welfare. Many awardees engage in an evaluation approach known as participatory community-engaged evaluation to include and amplify the voices of communities served. This video series highlights this approach to evaluation in Children's Bureau-funded projects across 2 cohorts of grant recipients. A group of 9 projects awarded in 2019, known collectively as Community Collaborations to Strengthen and Preserve Families, and a group of 6 projects funded in 2021, known collectively as Family Support through Primary Prevention. We'll hear from representatives from 4 of these projects, including project directors, project staff, evaluators, program participants, service partners, and other community members. Project representatives will share their perspectives on the building blocks of this evaluation approach. These building blocks include authentic engagement of and collaboration with program participants and community members, building trust and relationships with program participants and community members, co-designing and co-leading an evaluation, and sharing and interpreting data with program participants and community members to understand and improve programs and services. This first video focuses on authentic engagement.
Our North Star is child well-being, and we believe we cannot get there without family well-being. So that's why we focus on parent engagement, parent empowerment, and parent education. And because collaboration is a core component for VCR, we wanted to make sure that we do the work in collaboration with our families, but also the other service providers as well.
When we asked parents this question in interviews and focus groups, what they shared with us was the importance of the care that they felt from VCR and from the family engagement specialists, that they felt like they mattered. They felt like there was an organization and individuals within it that really, truly cared. And that was a really big contributor to people feeling engaged and continuing their engagement.
We didn't feel like we was being watched or being, evaluated, things of that nature. But you felt you wanted to express yourself. You wanted to give details about what's going on. You wanted to make progress. That's the way they made you feel. You didn't feel like an evaluator or somebody was looking over you, but somebody was walking with you and wanted to help make that change that you need to make.
The engaging parents and partners in the evaluation, as well as the project overall, really enhanced what we were doing. I think that it lent relevance and credibility to what we were doing. We were focused on real world concerns, not just theoretical constructs of, doing this work for the sake of doing this work, but how are we addressing real world concerns that the caregivers in our community are dealing with every day.
To be better and to reach the people, they gotta have an ear to hear what the community wants to hear, say, because a lot of it has to do with us, we, the people, the patrons that need the help. So if they just take time out to listen, and not only just because you work behind a desk, this, that, and that, then, see, it's not like that here.
One of the things that was the most exciting about this project was being able to do research with people that live in the neighborhoods. They use the services that are there, every day. There's research happening all over the world, but it's not always, getting down to the nitty-gritty of, what do the people that are there using the services actually have to say?
Some of the things that I think we've kind of touched on are, kind of staying true to your model, making sure you're being respectful of those community members and that you're truly valuing their input. So it's not just gathering their input, but it's really listening and following through with what the community has to say as far as what they need. And I think it's also just being really transparent and remaining flexible, because we do, things change.
We went out to homes, we went out to ball fields, we went out and surveyed the community and said, what do you need? What do we need in this community? And asked the community what they needed. And then took that information back, analyzed it, and said, here is what the community is saying. And our resource center need to be developed around these needs, not what we're saying, but what the community is saying.
Partnership for Strong Families, we are not the experts. We rely heavily on the community members to let us know. And I think this is part of the reason why our resource centers are so successful, is because we're always looking back to our patrons, back to our partners. What do we need to do? Are our services matching the needs of the community?
The Parent Advisory Board gave good input. One example was around the community response program, where there was some difficulty engaging parents. There's a component of that program where the family coaches have to call parents or text parents. And so there was not good. The data was showing us that we weren't getting very good engagement. Parents weren't responding to those options. So taking that to the Parent Advisory Board, and they were like, well, do you respond to just nebulous text messages that you receive? So why would there be an expectation that parents in the community, busy parents, why would you expect this? So again, they brought that perspective from their systems experience that said, hey, this is a different way to think about.
Sometimes as an evaluator researcher, we think about the concept of assessing need. We will look at normative data, available secondary data, to help us understand some of the social determinants and community factors and contexts that certain families and households might be dealing with. That data and information is secondary. And it's important for us to understand maybe some broader based community contexts and variables that help us understand, to a certain extent, life of families and households in the geospatial area being served. But as some of my colleagues have identified, it's more important to have good, qualitative, meaningful engagement with stakeholders, with individuals who are knowledge experts about what life is like for families in those communities.
I actually think it's important to pay attention to power dynamics and not just giving lip service to the idea of everybody has an equal voice or tokenism. It really is giving everyone that equal voice and space, and not just listening, but then taking what we hear and putting it into practice, and feeding it back for this continuous process.
And I said, we just need to flip the switch on how we're thinking and change it from asking something of them to giving them the opportunity to help improve the centers so that they can help improve their own lives and the lives of other people. And it was like a light bulb that would go off when I would say something like that, because it is truly, we were giving patrons the opportunity to contribute and to improve the resource centers.